إن الحمد لله تعالى نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ونبيه ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. All praise and glory be to Allah. We thank Him and we seek His help and His guidance and His pleasure and His forgiveness. And we turn to Allah to protect us from the evil whispers within us and the evil consequences of our misdeeds. For whomever Allah guides, no one can lead astray. And whomever Allah leaves astray, none can guide. And we testify that no one is worthy of our worship, our devotion, our absolute love and surrender and obedience, but Allah alone without any partners, the true Supreme King. And that the Prophet Mohammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was in truth His Prophet and His servant and His messenger, and the best of His creation, and the seal of His sacred revelations, and the most beloved of the slaves of Allah to Allah. O you have believed, have the taqwa of Allah, uphold your duty to Allah, remain conscious of Him, remain obedient to Him in the manner that He deserves, as best you possibly can, and do not die except in that state of commitment and surrender, loving and willing surrender to Allah, a state of Islam. And to begin, after welcoming my brothers and my sisters to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, I ask Allah to accept from us and you our Ramadans, and all our hard work in Ramadan, and continue to enable us with opportunities even after Ramadan, perhaps even greater than Ramadan. Allahumma ameen. And then we return back to a journey we began before this month, this blessed month that is now behind us. And that is the journey of the very special 7 that the Prophet ﷺ spoke about in the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Bukhari and Muslim, when he said, سَبْعَةٌ يُظِلُّهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي ظِلِّهِ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ. There will be 7 whom Allah will grant shade to on a day when there will be no shade. There will be no refuge. There will be no safety from the heat of the Day of Judgment except those whom He grants shade for. He said, a just leader and a young man that spent his earliest years in the worship of Allah, and a man whose heart is attached to the masajid, and 2 that love one another for the sake of Allah. They get together for Allah and depart for Allah. And the 5th was a young man who was invited by a woman, tempted by a woman of beauty and of status, and he abstained, saying, I fear Allah. And today we have the 6th of those 7 with us for this khutbah. He said, alayhi salatu wassalam, وَرَجُلٌ تَصَدَّقَ بِصَدَقَةٍ فَأَخْفَاهَا. And a man who gives a charity, who's charitable with a charity, فَأَخْفَاهَا, but he hides it, he conceals it, حَتَّى لَا تَعْلَمَ شِمَالُهُ مَا تُنْفِقُ يَمِينُهُ, to the point that his left hand does not know what his right hand gave, what his right hand spent. This is our appointment, and there is no fundraising appeal after this khutbah, because maybe sometimes a person is wondering, is this about the fundraiser? And they deprive themselves of something so valuable out of fear that there could be something behind it. But just to reassure you, regardless of what is wrong with that mindset, there is no fundraising after this khutbah. In fact, this issue of a man who gives, this is an expression, in such secretive fashion that if his hand had a conscience, he wouldn't know. This is an expression to show you to what extent that the twin of his right hand doesn't even know. The closest thing to his right hand doesn't know. So what about his brothers? What about his relatives? What about the people? To show you that this is not about even charity. This is about a person going the extra mile to be creative in hiding their charity, to creative in ensuring their sincerity. And this is about it being, in Islam, better to hide your charities whenever that's possible, regardless of how tiny that charity may be. Because he says, رَجُلٌ تَصَدَّقَ بِصَدَقَ أي صَدَقَ. A man who gives a charity, big, small, any charity, but he still hides it. She still hides it. It is better to do that. As Allah Azza wa Jal said, إِن تُبْدُوا الصَّدَقَاتِ فَنِعِمَّاهِ. If you declare your donations, your charities, this is a good thing. There is benefit in that. وَإِن تُخْفُوهَا وَتُؤْتُوهَا الْفُقَرَاءُ فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. But if you hide it and pass it that way in secretive fashion to the poor, this is better for you. This is the rule in Islam. This is the norm. This should be what's prevalent. There is an exception to that rule. Like An-Nawawi rahimahullah, he says, and this does not apply to zakah, because if people were to hide zakah, that practice, that pillar of Islam would become extinct. For people would forget that there's something called zakah. And also a second reason why the zakah would be the exception is that because it would stop encouraging people from giving zakah. And a third reason is disclosing your zakah at times in certain circumstances is beneficial because the poor person is waiting for it and could become envious towards you, could assume wrong of you if they don't know you've given your zakah. And likewise in a fundraising, it would be good to keep your intentions in check but disclose your donation to get the reward of encouraging others to donate. But these are all exceptions, they cannot replace the rule. Your common practice, your mindset should be, is there any way to hide this without harm? That is the rule inside of Islam. The Muslim does not just hide his charities. As Ibrahim al-Taymi rahimahullah says, الْمُخْلِصُ مَنْ يَكْتُمُ حَسَنَاتَهُ كَمَا يَكْتُمُ سَيِّئَاتِهِ. The believer, he hides his good deeds the same way he would hide his sins. Because he knows he's weak, and if people find out, he may like the reaction so much that the next time he does it for them and not for Allah. He doesn't trust himself with being public about it. He doesn't do so voluntarily. Rather, he tries to hide it the way he would hide a sin. The way you would go out of your way, you would hate it for someone to discover that time you snapped and raised your voice at one of your parents. Or the way you would try so hard to protect people from knowing, protect your reputation from an ugly past that involved alcohol or involved zina or otherwise. To that degree, I'm trying to hide my charity. When can a person get upscale in their intentions and do that? When they have only Allah as their audience. And this is not an easy thing. This is very, very difficult. Because this is not like the charity itself. Giving the charity is easy. But doing it only seeking Allah's response, Allah's observance, Allah's audience, Him being your audience, that is much more difficult. You know, a person can spend 1,000, 5,000, 20, whatever it is on a car, that will not benefit anybody. That will not benefit you or not benefit the people, right? It's just a waste of money. To buy that kind of car unnecessarily, I mean, when you don't need to pay extra is what I'm saying. You can have a car, you're allowed to have a car, a good car, a car that doesn't break down, a car that you're comfortable in, all of that is fine. And then a person shifts and says, yeah, let me stop wasting money. Let me take that money and spend it on the orphans. Spend it on some relief effort. Spend the same amount on a good cause. That is certainly better than spending it unnecessarily on a car. Because even if your intentions are wrong, you're still benefiting somebody, right? But it is much harder to benefit yourself with your charity because this is something that happens in here. And no one can know if your intention's out of place. A person comes and tells you, Akhi, stop showing off. You would say, you don't know what's in my heart. And you're absolutely right. He doesn't know what's in your heart. She doesn't know what's your intentions. It is very possible that your intentions were good. It is possible they weren't. He can never know. He may see signs. You should consider. But they cannot know. This is a battle that's difficult. And you may get it and then it slips out, your intention. And you have to fight this fight alone. And if you remember, we said that these 7 their common denominator, the theme of these 7, they put up with the heat of fighting themselves. And so Allah pardoned them from the heat on the Day of Judgment. And so these are champions that got rid of it all. We got rid of the desire for money, but what was more difficult, the desire for recognition. That takes toughness, that takes courage, that takes hard work to develop yourself to that level. You could be in a religious circle, but you're still seeking recognition just from a different crowd now. Not your friends, your homies, your circle from before Islam or before you became religious. Now you're seeking the same thing from a different social circle. So in essence, it could be the same. And that's why Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu narrates in the Muslim Imam Ahmad, he says that when Allah Azza wa Jal خلق الأرض, لما خلق الله الأرض جعلت تميد وتكفأ. The earth began to move and shift and shake. فأرساها بالجبال. And so Allah caused it to settle. He weighed it down with the mountains. فتعجبت الملائكة من شدة الجبال. And so the angels were amazed at how tough the mountains are. فقالوا يا ربنا هل خلقت خلقا أشد من الجبال. They said, oh our Lord, did you create any creation tougher than the mountains? قال نعم الحديد. He said, yes, iron. قالوا وهل خلقت خلقا أشد من الحديد. Did you create anything tougher than iron? قال نعم النار. Yes, fire. Fire melts iron. قالوا وهل خلقت خلقا أشد من النار. Did you create anything tougher than fire? قال نعم الماء. He said, yes, water. Water puts out fire. He said, water. قالوا وهل خلقت خلقا أشد من الماء. Have you created anything that is tougher than water? قال نعم الريح. The wind. The wind carries the clouds filled with water. It manages the water. It controls the waves. It pushes them back or brings them forward. قالوا وهل خلقت خلقا أشد من الريح. Have you created anything tougher than the winds? قال نعم ابن آدم إذا تصدق بصدقة بيمينه فأخفاها عن شماله. He said, yes, the son of Adam, when he gets himself to give in charity with his right and hides it from his left. It takes toughness. It's not easy. And Bukhari and Muslim, Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, قَالَ رَجْلٌ فِي مَنْ قَبْلَكُمْ لَأَتَصَدَّقَنَّ اللَّيْلَةَ بِصَدَقَةٍ. Very famous hadith. A man from those before you said, I am going to give a charity today. And so he went out, لَأَتَصَدَّقَنَّ اللَّيْلَةَ, I'm going to give a charity tonight. He waited for the night because he wants to hide it. He doesn't want anything from anyone. He wants to be what Allah later said for us in the Quran, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. We are feeding you for the face of God. We want to see God's face. That's our sole ambition. That's the only thing we're looking for. We do not wish from you jaza, repayment, nothing from your pocket, وَلَا شُكُورًا, nor any thanks, nothing from your tongue either. By the way, a believer says this with his heart. You don't say that to people. That's an insult. Tell them, I don't want anything from you when you give them charity. Some people do that. That's completely misunderstanding what the ayah is about. This ayah is you're saying this with your heart as you're doing it. And so this man wanted to be that person. I don't want thanks. I don't want repayment. I don't want you to repay the favor. It's not because I owe you a favor. I want it to be purely for Allah. And so he gave charity to the first person he found. فَأَصْبَحَ النَّاسُ يَقُولُونَ تُصُدِّقَ اللَّيْلَةَ عَلَى بَاغِيَةٍ. In the morning he hears rumors going around. Some fool gave charity last night to a prostitute. A woman is going around making money. He's the first woman. He wanted to give it a run. He didn't want anyone to see. So he gave money to a woman that accepts money for an indecent service. So he became the talk of the town. He gave her money, he didn't get anything from her, they're saying. What a fool. So قال الحمد لله على باغية. He said alhamdulillah for a prostitute. That's what Allah destined, that's what Allah destined. And then he said لأتصدقن الليلة بصدقة. I'm still going to give a charity today. And so he went out the next night, put it in the first hand he found. In the morning the people are saying تصدق الليلة أو البارحة على سارق. They said last night someone gave charity to a thief. Someone's going around stealing people's money. This man gave him money for free. It's as if Allah Azza wa Jal was destining his missteps, his misplacement of the sadaqah for a reason, for a wisdom. He was engineering his mistakes for his own good. And so he said, Alhamdulillah for a thief. Alhamdulillah ala sariq. I want to prove to Allah, I want to please you. You know, if this was your zakat, it would have been enough. If you tried your best to put it in someone's hands who appears to be, and then you find out later they were not qualified, you don't have to repay your zakat, because you've done your due diligence, that's it. But he wanted to do more. He wanted to show Allah how truthful he was in pursuing his pleasure, in seeking his face. And so he went the third night and he found the people saying in the morning, تُصُدِّقَ اللَّيْلَةَ الْبَارِحَةَ عَلَى غَنِيٍّ. Someone gave charity last night to someone who's richer than him. Some guy's walking, richer than the guy giving the money, and he gives him the sadaqah. And so the Prophet ﷺ said about this, perhaps the rich person will begin to be charitable, and perhaps the thief will stop stealing. He'll feel guilty, or he'll have enough money, because sometimes thieves feel like they have no choice, right? And perhaps the prostitute will repent. And so number one, from his sincerity, he tried to hide his deeds, and Allah made the people find out about them. He didn't seek it, Allah gave it to him anyway. And how many people spend money and time and energy to be recognized, and Allah causes them to be forgotten. This is the blessing, the barakah of being truthful with Allah. In your transactions with Allah, not with anyone else. Think of how much people work to be famous and they are forgotten. And how the prophets of Allah will say a word in the desert for Allah, and Allah will immortalize that word and have us recite it. And so Allah disclosed his charities. Number two, Allah caused him to help these people's deen, though he wanted to feed somebody. Allah could have made him responsible for them repenting, them being encouraged to do good. And Allah made his story a hadith that we say for 1400 years and counting on the mimbar at Jumu'ah. An inspiration for others because of him being truthful with Allah in his charity, for trying to hide it. It could be a moment that you have this in your life. You work for it your entire life, and Allah gives it to you once, and it could be worthier than your entire lifetime. It could save you from everything else. And the Prophet ﷺ is the one that told us that. In Bukhari and Muslim, Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman radiallahu anhu, he said that the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ رَجُلًا فِي مَنْ قَبْلَكُمْ. There used to be a man from the previous nations as well, أَتَاهُ الْمَلَكْ لِيَقْبِضَ رُوحَهُ. The angel came to pull his soul. فَقِيلَ لَهُ هَلْ عَمِلْتَ مِنْ خَيْرٍ. So it was said to him, did you do any good in your life? قَالَ مَا أَعْلَمْ. I don't know of any good I've done in my life. I can't think of anything. فَقِيلَ لَهُ أُنظُرْ. Just check. Did you do anything at all? فَقَالَ مَا أَعْلَمُ شَيْئًا غَيْرَ أَنِّي كُنْتُ أُبَايِعُ النَّاسَ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَأُجَازِيهِمْ فَأَنظِرِ الْمُوسِرِ وَأَضَعُ لِلْمُعْسِرِ. The only thing I can think of, this is his attempt, this is what he thinks is not much. I used to do business with people in this world. I was a businessman. And I used to deal with them, and I used to give extra time to even the people that had money. It's okay, pay me later. And I used to reduce the amount to the people that didn't have money. Look, the person who has money is not necessarily thought of as a recipient of charity, but he went out of his way to try to be creative in hiding those charities, in being good with people. And whomever tries that will do it. And you've understood the message of this hadith. But it is not easy. And that's why one of the Salaf, one of the early Muslims, he said, إِخْلَاصُ سَاعَةٍ نَجَاةُ الْأَبَدِ وَلَكِنَّ الْإِخْلَاصَ عَزِيزٌ. You being sincere, 110% sincere, not 99% for Allah, 100% sincere, in that is salvation for eternity. A moment of that, a drop of it. But this moment is rare. It must be pursued. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ونبيه ورسوله. We praise Allah for making the best of this ummah its earliest generations. Because that way the ummah started on the right foot and left us an entire turath, an entire legacy, a heritage of sincere donors, sincere charitable people, sincere everything, who understood the deen best and practiced the deen in the finest way. And then we look back and say, which one of these can I imitate? Can I get stuffed in any of these categories? If not one, then the other. And so in this issue of hiding the charities, one of the early Muslims, what he would do is, he would go to work in the morning. And when he would make his money, a new customer would come, he would send him to his neighbor and say, no, buy from him. That's a sadaqah. That's a charity. You gave up money that was coming your way, wasn't it? Another one of them would go to the poor people that sell things on the streets, and he would give them more than the price they're asking for, so no, everyone looks at it like it's a sale, but to him it's a charity. A third one would accustom himself not to go out except that he would carry gifts with him, even if it's a loaf of bread, even if it's an onion, and he would hide it in his sleeve and give it to people. And among them are those that would pay off the debts of others by going to the creditor and giving him the money, but first they would make them swear that they would not tell the person in debt who paid off their debt. This was reported about many. Of them was Abdullah al-Mubarak, rahimahullah, one of his students in one of the trips, perhaps it was in Baghdad, he was arrested for a debt that he had. He borrowed some money so he can seek knowledge. Things went downhill. He was arrested because he couldn't repay the money. And so he went to the man that was owed the money, and he said to him, so long as I live, you don't tell a soul about what I'm about to do. Agreed or no? He said, agreed. He said, here's your money. And he left town. And about 2 weeks later, his student catches up with him and he tells him, where have you been? I haven't seen you. He says, you don't know, I was arrested and I was out and someone paid my debt. I don't even know who it is, and I was finally able to catch up with you. He says to him, Fahmadillah, praise Allah for it. And he only found out after his teacher died, his teacher was the one that covered that bill. And then there's Ali ibn Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who was titled, known as Zainul Abidin, which is basically the trophy of the worshippers. Hardly anyone, this is the great-grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This is the grandson of Ali ibn Abi Talib and Fatima, radwanullahi alayhim. Ali ibn Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Abu Hamza al-Thumali, he used to say about him, he used to carry bushels, bags, sacks of bread on his back at night and give in charity to people, to the poor, and he would say to the few that discovered his campaign, Inna sadaqata sirri tudfi'u ghadab al-Rabbi azza wa jal. Giving charity in secret, this extinguishes the anger of the Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mighty and majestic. And Shayba ibn Nu'ama rahimahullah says, كان علي ibn al-Husayn yubakhal. Ali ibn al-Husayn used to be accused of being cheap. No one ever saw him giving charity. And this is the grandson of Ali. This is the great-grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the most generous people ever. They used to accuse him of being cheap, being stingy. Until he died, they discovered that there was 100 houses in Medina that he was spending on. Radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And Muhammad ibn Ishaq rahimahullah, he says, كان الناس من أهل المدينة يعيشون لا يدرون من أين كانت معاشهم. There were so many homes in Medina that used to live not knowing where their livelihood came from, not knowing who spent on them, until Ali ibn Hussein radiallahu anhu arda, until he died. And then when he died, they realized that this is the person that was bringing us things at night. And finally, Amr ibn Thabit rahimahullah says, لما مات علي ibn Hussein فغسلوه جعلوا ينظرون إلى آثار سواد في ظهره فقالوا ما هذا. When he finally died and they were washing his body, they saw black marks, like calluses, in his back. And so they said, where is this from? What is this? Like, was he ever whipped? What happened here? Faqih, one of the few that knew about it, that discovered it before he died, he said to them, كان يحمل جرب الدقيق ليلا على ظهره يعطيه فقراء أهل المدينة. This man used to carry these heavy sacks on his back at night, giving it out to the poor in Medina every single night till it left marks in his back. They went out of their way to hide things. And let me conclude these last 3 minutes in the khutbah by saying that one of the greatest, most overlooked ways to hide your charity, which is a sign that you're actually truthful with Allah, is to do it in your home. And not even with money. Give up your comfort. Give up your psychological reserve. Give up your peace of mind. Give up some of your sleep time. Give up some of your stress. Hide it, I mean. When a husband comes home and he's just been fired, or a husband comes home and he's had a horrible day, his car has broken down, whatever it is, hiding that from your family and reassuring them and giving them smiles even when you cannot. This is very difficult for me and for you. I know this. But this is a sign of someone who's truthful. This is a charity. I've given up my right to comfort. This is your right. You've given up your right to comfort. You've proven your faith. You've proven this is manliness. That everybody gets served before me. And likewise the woman, when her husband comes home, to make sure this house is a place of sakina, a place of warmth and tranquility for her husband, and hide the fact that the children have been driving her crazy all day. This is a sign of faith. This is a sign of someone sincere in trying to please Allah Azza wa Jal. And there is no better example than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the busiest man on earth, who had more responsibilities than anyone, who carried more pain inside him than anyone. He lived with so much more concern than we can ever have. And Abdullah ibn Harith said we never saw him except that he was smiling. But he had the toughest life, alayhi salatu wassalam. He would not just smile, he would make sure other people smiled. Because he was not waiting for someone to appreciate that he was going through a harder time than them. He was not waiting for that. He was grateful that Allah gave him the ability to, gave him the chance to save himself. As he said to us, alayhi salatu wassalam, مَنْ نَفَّسَ عَنْ مُؤْمِنٍ كُرْبَةً مِنْ كُرَبِ الدُّنْيَا نَفَّسَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ كُرْبَةً مِنْ كُرَبِ الْآخِرَةِ. Whomever relieves the distress of a believer in this world, Allah will relieve that. What a great deal. That's an excellent deal. What an offer. Allah will relieve for you one of the distresses of the Day of Judgment. When you're upset and you don't want to, and you have some, and you remember, that's not their fault. I'm not going to make people suffer with me because I'm suffering. I'm going to spend $1.50 or $2 or $3, and I'm going to go make my wife happy and buy her a rose. The kids have driven me nuts. I'm still not going to ask my husband to order food. I'm not going to mention it to him the first thing at the door. I'm going to swallow that bullet even if no one appreciates, because I know my Lord appreciates. He is worthy enough of an audience. May Allah Azza wa Jal help us keep Allah as our audience. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us of those like the early generations of Islam, who hide their charities and know that Allah is enough to see us, and Allah is enough to appreciate us, and Allah is enough to compensate us. May Allah provide us with deeds, even if they are so small but consistent, and provide us with deeds that are sincere and hidden in the case that everything else fails. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma rzuqna al-ikhlasa fi al-qawli wal-amal wa fi al-sirri wal-alan. ربنا هب لنا عملا صالحا ترضى به عنا. اللهم ارزقنا قلوبا تنيرنا مرضاتك. أحينا ما علمت الحياة خيرا لنا، وتوفنا إذا علمت الوفاة خيرا لنا. اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين يا ربنا. اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين يا ربنا. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين، وعاف مبتلانا، واهد ضالنا يا إله الحق يا كريم. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين